Hi, Amanda here with Crafting with Amanda, and I'm so excited to welcome you to another Makers with Heart collaboration. And today we're doing a hop. Instead of having to wait each day for what the next Maker with Heart is doing for the week, you can binge watch all of us with our mystery envelope challenge. And I'll talk more about what happened with this mystery envelope, but in short, I sent pieces to the other 6 Makers with Heart, and I kept an envelope for myself. And as you can see, this is what they got in the mail. So there are a bunch of sequins in a little yellow envelope, and I specifically chose a yellow envelope in case they wanted to use it with the papers. And then they also got a circle shaker foam and acetate. They got 2 sheets of the Sawyer paper that are 5 1/4 by 4, and then the lace thin cut, part of the zip strip, and then just scraps of both grape and Sundance cardstock. The rules that I sent with it is that they could only add white and black cardstock or both, and that you can create anything you wanted. So I pulled out this photo of my best friend and I when she was Grand Worthy Advisor of Michigan Rainbow Girls, and I was actually a state official, kind of her official travel companion. So because I can only add the white or black cardstock, and I wanted to matte Laura's photo, I'm kind of highlighting her in her purple dress, I took just a white piece of cardstock to make a matte, and then I'm just edging it with the grape. I started with the mulberry, but it needed to be the grape just to make it the right color to match the formal in that photo. So the other rules are, other than being limited to white and black cardstock, they can't really add any other embellishments, like store-bought ones, stickers, anything like that. They need to stick with what's in the envelope. They can create some if they have like dies, so things that they can use their tools to create them. They could cut stuff out on the Cricut even, but you couldn't just have ready-made embellishments to add to this. And then the last rule was to just have fun with it. So as you can see, I went ahead and matted that photo, and I wanted just a little pop of white next to the purple, so I went ahead and did a really tiny slimline matte. And then these are the slimline alphabets from the core catalog. They're on page 67 if you want to check that out. And I cut out a title, A Moment in Time, and then I took one of the Sawyer 5 1/4 by 4 inch pieces, and I just cut 1/2 inch strips that are 5 1/4, I believe they're 5 1/4 long. Maybe I did them the 4 inch side. No, I think they're 5 1/4 inch long. And now I'm weaving them. I'm following the Make It From Your Heart pattern 5 book, and it's the first pattern in that book where it has this woven lattice work. And so the back side of the Sawyer paper, one side has kind of the flowers, and the other side has this mint pattern in the green. And so I'm just kind of interlacing these together. I'm just weaving them. If you ever made those old pot holders when you were a kid to give to your mom and dad, I know we grew up with tons of them in our house. It's that kind of thing, except for you don't have the loom, so you just weave them in and out. And I thought by just highlighting the green and the Sundance in this paper along with the purple strip, that it would just kind of pop and work with the pattern paper of the Sawyer. So now I'm just kind of evening them out here. I'm going to straighten them and see how much of an edge I want to give all of them. And I do end up tacking them down. I had some issues with my camera in that I ended up getting some black video recording. So I don't know if my camera overheated. I remember I was having trouble when I was making the video. So that's what's happening. That's why I've lost some of my footage. And then I included this lace scalloped edge. It was a thin cut. It's a retired Close to My Heart thin cut. But I included it, and I was trying to see if it could work anywhere on the layout. And I'm showing you here that after I cut out all of these letters with the Slimline Alpha, by setting them up upside down and backwards, I can just use some paper tape or some painter's tape to pick them up. But instead of the sticky part being the way, the sticky part is up. So it's just easier for me to maneuver. So now I'm realizing that I cut my letters in white and the background's in white. So I'm going to do some distressing of the background, and I had started by just doing the shimmer brush directly onto the paper, and it just wasn't working for me. So here I just pooled a little bit of rubbing alcohol, and then I grabbed one of the bags that I had used up whatever came in it, and I'm just pouncing it onto my white cardstock. And I'll add some more alcohol and a little bit more of the Great Shimmer Brush, and it kind of gives it, because of the more alcohol, it thins down the intensity of the pigment, and so you kind of get that first and second generation on that background. And here again with my white cardstock that I added, I cut some of these bigger flowers from the Layered Flower Thin Cut, which is also in the main catalog. I want to say it's like on page 65. And I'm folding them in half to kind of give them a cone flower shape. So I'm seeing here how far up I need to punch my hole, and I'm punching this out of the Sundance cardstock that came in the mystery envelope. So as a reminder, they could only use what came in the envelope, except they could add unlimited amounts of white and black cardstock. And I chose white just because we have markers, we have shimmer brushes. You can color things if, you know, just think outside the box. So then the other piece of the Sawyer paper that I included, I went ahead and die cut some leaves so that I can add those to my piece. And then I realized that I wanted to have a more solid background, so I grabbed another piece of black cardstock. I cut the purple distress piece down to a 10 by 10 square, and here I'm just dry fitting and seeing how things are gonna work. I want to highlight the photo. Don't you love the late 80s, early 90s hair, you know, big bangs? You can laugh, it worked really well for us back then. So now I'm gonna glue everything down. I've done my dry fitting, and once I had started to put this down, I'm like, oh, maybe it needs something underneath it, and so I tried a piece of black that was just laying on the desk, and I didn't like that after all. So I went ahead and put down my woven pieces of all those little 1/2-inch strips, and I sped up the video here, and I'm just showing how the title is going to end up fitting on this layout. I glue the title down later, but I needed to see for where the flowers were going to go, what kind of spacing I needed. The letter A for A Moment in Time was it was really throwing me off for a while. So as you can see, I adjusted it, and I like how this turned out better. And then once you have the picture or the photo, the title, the next thing that you need is the journaling. So all this journaling says is 2 best friends celebrate the end of Laura's year term as Grand Worthy Advisor of Michigan, and this is in June of 1993. So, you know, just a few days ago, not long ago at all. And it's funny, I needed to pull out my T ruler to help me keep the journaling straighter because I wanted to follow the bottom edge of the white rather than the bottom edge of the black cardstock. And then there's still too much open space around the black cardstock base, so I'm just kind of doodling 2 lines all the way around the edge, and I'm skipping over the flower area, and I skipped over part of the journaling area, and it's just a rough line. And I have to say that be able to do that was a leap for me. It was like, oh, but it's too messy, and that's kind of the point. This is handmade, and it's not supposed to be, you know, this particular style can be a little more freeform, as they call it. So here I'm dry fitting. I pulled out all of the silver sequins that were in the Wildberry sequins pack that I got, and then I glued them all down, so I didn't make you watch me do all that. And this layout is done. I'm really excited about it. I thought adding the cone-shaped flowers was just something that adds just a little bit of oomph, and it didn't take up too much paper. So here's what I have left. I have those strips that I cut off of the base of the layout, plus I had made 3 more flowers, and here I'm just gonna see what I can do to make some sort of a shaker card with the parts I have left. I'm excited to see what the other makers are doing. Kim Ferguson was out here visiting last week. I got to meet her in real life for the first time. We've been working together on Zoom, and we've chatted back and forth for several months now, but she came out to visit, and we just had a wonderful time together. So I did get to see her project, and it's very exciting. I was actually on Zoom with her while she was making it, and she was getting a little frustrated. I only white cardstock, but she figured it out, and you should definitely make sure to check out what she did. It's very cute. And here I pulled the Stamp You Mean the World to Me from the January 2022 Stamp of the Month. And I'm just taking my piercing tool to separate the adhesive on the outside foam circle for the shaker part. And it's actually sticky side up. I don't know if you can tell that with my piercing tool. So I'm just, again, trying to eyeball. I'm such a visual learner that I need to do some of that. So now that I have a direction and I've dry fit everything, I went ahead and inked the edges with the grape ink pad. And so as I put these things down, you'll be able to see that there's just a nice little edge of purple on each edge of all the pieces. And I finally found a spot to put that scallop lace border on. I think that just works perfect on this card. And then this is part of the zip strip that I sent to everybody. I made sure everybody had the same pieces. So hopefully you'll be able to see just all of our different styles and how we think and utilize and go outside the box. I know Katie is sending pieces for us for next month. We're going to do it again next month. And on the 25th of the month is when our hop is going to be released. So hopefully you'll be able to come back then and see what we do and what Katie sent us. She sent me a message, are the rules always the same? And I was like, nope, whatever the sender wants to make the rules for the month, that's what it's going to be. And I had reached out to ask if a couple of the Makers with Heart wanted to do this, and they all did. So all 7 of us, you will get to see 7 projects, or 8, because I kind of did one layout and one card. But I really had a lot of fun with this. So I'm putting a few dots of this Tombow green lidded glue on my card just to hold some sequins up in place so that they'll always be visible and not just all scooched down to the bottom of the shaker. And it's funny, I'm kind of being picky on if I want a big one or a little one up on those glue dots. And I've used every single sequence now. They are all in that shaker. So I put those all in before I take the glue strip off. And I had also already taken the film off of the acetate, so you don't have to worry about that. That is gone. And I do find that when you're trying to glue paper to the circle acetates and the shaker elements, that green lidded Tombow glue works better because it dries a little tacky, so it doesn't pop off later when you go to mail it or in an album. Excuse me, I got choked up there for a minute. And so now I'm just gonna figure out how to put these flowers on, see if the shaker element's working correctly, trim off the bottom pieces. We're kind of in the downward slide here to this card. I'm very excited. I don't end up using any of the foam that comes in the center of the foam circle, but it will be used on other projects, I can assure you. So here I'm just gluing my white cone flowers down, and I did do a Sweetest Honey card kit, and on the Sweetest Honey card kit I did ink the edges of the cone flowers, and I thought about doing that, but I thought I would just keep it clean. I really just like that crispness of the white in this particular use. And so now I have just 2 little flowers. If you saw earlier in the video, I had just a thin, narrow piece of this paper left, and I cut 2 leaves out of it using those layered flowers, thin cut. And now I shaped them and I'm poking them in between the cone flowers here, and that's going to be it for the front. I go back to that January stamp of the month and pull this little mouse, and he's holding a flower, and he just looks so sweet. So I have my markers all categorized, or cataloged I should say, on that swash sheets that you saw. So I was kind of picking which colors I wanted to use for my mouse. So here I take the lightest shade of I believe it's the brown gray blend, and then I take the dark shade and kind of go over all of the outlines that the stamp artist put in there for me, and then you fill in again around those with the medium shade. And I just go back and with the light shade kind of touch up the edges again, and it just helps it all blend in together. And then I did add some black for the eyes and nose so that the mouse face sticks out a little bit more. And then to keep the white flowers with the orange centers just like the front, I just used the shimmer brush to color in that flower. So here we're done. The card is done and ready to go. Here's the scrapbook layout, and I'll give you a quick look a little closer at these so you can see some of the details in them and the sequins that are there. And just, I had fun with this. I'm really excited and anxious to see what everybody else came up with. I hope you enjoy the hop. Be sure to give some love by liking those videos, sharing with friends, even commenting if there's one that really strikes you as, wow, that's so incredible. So here's the playlist, and you can catch up with everybody. Have a wonderful day. Blessings.